I am Melissa. Classy reclaimed Mama Llama. I've been trying to figure out an intro for a while, and I figured right now is the best because I woke up from being incredibly sore because I've been trying to exercise every day. Because I have RRMS. I was diagnosed approximately 15 months ago. I won't go into my personal life, but I challenge you to find one more stressing regarding parents, marriage, custody of a child, maintaining recovery, how to do that in a town with absolutely no resources from friends, family. Right now, I know that neighbor by the first name. I know not enough to ask them for a plunger over Christmas when my toilet was clogged. This is why I decided to make my intro today. Someone else, I will refer to him there. I'm not quite sure how to do that yet. This is how I looked when I woke up. My medicine alarm goes off at 2. My son called and gave me a dopamine kick. I believe in true dopamine being the best pain reliever because I'm not on any because I was on when they thought I had fibromyalgia. Oxy, 3 10 milligrams, I believe, 4 at one time, and I gave them up because of my husband's opiate addiction. How we'll deal with that, one day we'll see, but right now I am on an anti-inflammatory, Librium, twice a day, and Adderall. I have only a couple of weeks of those last 2, and that's a whole nother story, but the stresses are incredible, and I'm sore in my arms because we got a manual mower to keep track of this gigantic, this is just the backyard. There's a whole front yard. In fact, I'll look around there because, see, I've been using the manual mower, but, or the weed eater, because my mother left town a couple of months ago. But if you get low, you can see the weeds. They're still up there. So today I'm going to string an extension cord through our window and try to get these down because the lady across the street passed away last week, so I know they'll be selling their house. Our neighbor over there is selling his, and property value. I know Mama will be putting hers on the market, and having this beautiful corner lot look like crap is going to do no good for anybody. Plus, I know it's an embarrassment to my mom, as to me, as all the improvements you see in the backyard I've done in the last couple of years. 3 years. So why am I intro today? Because I haven't taken my Adderall yet, but I woke to my son's voice, and I used it to push myself. I'm about to go take it because I've got to run an extension cord through this window and somehow weed eat a little bit at a time and keep the weeds down. But I was straightening, trying to make my list for today. Oh, by the way, best slippers in the world. I'll go into that. This is how I woke up and came outside. And when I realized I'd had a cigarette in my mouth, I gotta quit smoking for I don't know, 10 minutes, and I hadn't lit it yet. I realized that I had 5 things going. My to-do list. I used to be a very organized person. This is my YouTube channel thing. This is the piece of wood that I'm cutting to make an extension thing in my bedroom that I need to wrap up all the paperwork. Partially in that bag, and in 4 other things around the house. I've got to redo my husband's shooting area, get this inside. 2 people want to buy that table. I need to chalk paint this, put air in the furniture mover, and I'll show you videos of my apartment after I clean some, but I got to get a dresser out of there for emotional and physical reasons. And I'm going to chalk paint this lovely little guy who was so ugly. That's a whole nother part. And finish painting this dresser. Not to mention list everything that's inside it. And this is my workshop. But it is the time of year in North Carolina that is beautiful. And this is where we used to sit. And this was our view. It's not that gorgeous right now, the trampoline. My son loves it. But this is the one comfort in the tiny apartment that we have, and very grateful for, as for all of its hardships. We, as I told my son regularly this last year, oh, look, still have a cigarette I haven't lit. Oh, and I realized that I was about to wash out those pots and move my husband's, he does air guns and stuff and is doing some videos, and I turned the water hose on, as you can see, and made mental note. My husband said a light hose was less than at Lowe's. They were $36 there. And I challenged him to it. I'm frugal, super, but also know I can't hold that hose, and I want to keep adding the flower beds there. Mama and I started with the fig trees, but this went over by the white thing over there. I've got to get wood, cut it to 32 inches, make a shelf, possibly go to the dollar store to get a hose, because this one is too freaking heavy to pick up. Oh yeah, and cucumbers and tomatoes I've got to get in, which I would just do in my time to time, except that I surprised that's the first time I've lost my memory. Oh, and these two little guys I got to research. I started growing those little oak trees for my husband because all of his bonsai died. And oh, fixed the screen door. That's a project. Never done it before, but I've seen tons of home shows. I'm pretty handy. In addition, all these hydrangeas are starts, because this bed behind me, my mom said she always envisioned lavenders and hydrangeas, I believe. And I did a lot of research on how to prune hydrangeas when you have limited mobility. Oh, there's another project, trying to grow grass. That hole has tripped me up for 3 years, and by golly, it's gone. It all started with these two fig trees. It was the only thing Mama had I gardened with. Her military brat, moved every year of my life, and I watched her break ground, which I'm doing right over there, hopefully. And I'm in the soil and put in marigolds. Sorry. I believe with every one of my support sites, fatigue, memory loss, cognitive dysfunction, and loss of balance. And I just found out I also have degenerating discs in my spine. It's like my mother, and she has fibromyalgia. So we have been, they thought I did for 7 years. So we know a lot about coping with these things. My late father, who is the reason I moved here. That's a profound statement. I would explain more, but when he passed away very suddenly at the age of 80, my mother asked my husband and I to move in, and as they had custody of our son, and we were living 7 miles up the road. We came that day, and I'll leave it right there. This is a success story. There's the hydrangea. I learned how to take care of them, to read them, to start them. There's Tucker. He's my ESA, only I can't get him to quit barking. He gets hung up. When I'm sick. He actually cries and he lays with me. He's our little miracle. He's a little over a year old. Anyway, how long has this been? It's 8.5 minutes. I am going to attempt to get some weed eating done. As you see, the backyard needs, since I went over it with the manual mower, because that's my exercise. I am determined. I will not let this take me down. At the very least, I have to get my boys safe, healthy, raised, and prepared for life. I should really do my hair. By the way, it's pink. And I had to leave his father, crying. Back together with him, he got sober. 6 months in prison, when nobody thought he would. He's in 3rd grade, and he's had so much loss, and he's suffered so many changes of caregivers. Stop it, Tucker. And caregivers that I will not let a mess take me or ruin his life. And if there's another way, God will show me. By the way, if I mention the program or the rooms, if you don't know what that is, I will. You can PM me. I'll figure out how to do that later. I don't like to use myself as an example of either a Christian or in recovery, because I am so flawed in both. But what God has given me, I wish to share freely, because after all, that is what keeps the most happy sober people sober, in my opinion and experience, and it applies to everything else. crazy people help crazy people, MS help MS. And there's a gentleman with PPMS who started his vlog, I guess you would say. My son told me that's why I should call it, not a vlog. And he inspired me to do this. And I told my husband that no one is showing their bad days. This is not me chewing my lip. 4 years ago, 5, 6, when I started to suffer, unable to speak, my mom actually posted her Facebook wall for me that we were going to get to the bottom of why my speech was being affected, and prayed for help and guidance. And there are days it's like I'm having a stroke. It's rare, but I stutter a lot. I'm in a town that is so economically depressed. It was when I moved here 14 years ago and 5 factories shut down. Since then, I've lived a lot of places. I usually lie and say I've only moved 20 times. It's closer to 40. And I've never seen a town more riddled with drugs, especially meth. I was almost arrested for shopping too slow once. I remembered that, I won't go into why, but it was not for breaking the law or making a noise. But around here, if you cause trouble, they just say you're trespassing and say don't come back. And I remembered I was at the wrong dollar store and I got scared. And I was almost arrested for resisting, though I had done nothing wrong and I had not shoplifted, and I was polite, and a shelf fell on me and I tried to tell the management politely. But I also have PBA, pseudo bulbar affect. And the commercials talk about it being laughing or crying at inappropriate moments. It's actually emotional incontinence. And mine comes out in rage, anger, or hostility. And it first did with a police officer when my medicine was stolen over 6 years ago. And I couldn't understand. I was once a flight attendant. I was one of the best paralegals in Durham. If you don't believe me, you can ask the city manager. He actually pushed me to either fail and get help, or to, well, let's just say I did fail and I did get help. And as I say, we're Clinton 2.0 and we rise. This is the most beautiful part of the day in this yard, the magic hour. Our first summer here, the sprinklers and the boys playing, and all that grass that I have to mow is because I was weeding in the front yard with a lot of rain, and I would pick up every chunk of grass and weed and put it there. My second best accomplishment in this yard is my strawberries, and I want to do a video of how I water them. And actually, that is what I was doing. And I'll leave it there. As I say, even though I haven't taken my Adderall today, and this is what it looked like, by the way. I am in my husband's own underwear and a white beater. Sorry if that's offensive. And I'm filling up these, because after 3 years of teaching myself how to do almost all of this, I have strawberries. I do them for my boys. My husband is a big vegetable eater, and we used to spend a fortune on strawberries. And the other day we had 10 in one day. We haven't even had 10 in 1 year. But I did this to save on water, because I just gorgeous copper sprinkler. But on days I couldn't leave bed, my plants were dying. And I've got that pot over there. I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my cucumbers. I only have a few, and 2 tomato plants. I trench them, and I'll do a video about that. But this is me doing the bare minimum to keep my strawberries alive. And if I have new plants, like I have 6 little marigolds. There's a joke with a mess, well, I can't remember vocabulary. Like, you see that hammock over there? I usually can't think of the name, and I call it the between the tree swingy thingy. And oh yeah, and my other thing, the roses. Those were almost dead after they sat out for over a year, because my mom couldn't garden, and may not look like much, but I did all this myself with them as unmedicated. Indexa, actually, for 3 months made such a difference. But anyway, I'm up to 14 minutes, and my videos will not be this long. This is just me showing, I'm going to show me it. Maybe not my worst, but close to it. And if I can get up and fill these 2 pots with water, and anything that I just planted, like those 5 little marigolds, which I am doing right now. And I watered the pots yesterday, so I don't have to do those but I planted I can't think of what it's called. And let's see, I put something else in the ground yesterday. Oh, right. If I just planted it yesterday, I've got to get some water on it. And this is another project. How I'm making a bed. And I'm going to make a bed over there in the corner. That's coming all this week. So if you like gardening, or you like to watch someone struggle with gardening and fail, and I'll talk all about that. I'll also talk about MS and what I do, what I'm trying to do, what I tried to fail. This is a snowflake disease, meaning it looks different for everybody. Like I said, cognitive remembering plus loss of balance and some other loss of mobility and fatigue. Fatigue that is so bad, you just can't imagine it. Holding this phone is taking all that I have. But I care enough about these few little plants that I planted yesterday that I know if I don't water them, they will die. And see those pots right there? They really need water. I don't have that energy. So every day I have to, it's called the spoon theory. Someone else came up with it and I'll share it. But I gotta go do some weed eating and I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it. But I haven't taken the Adderall yet. And I'm gonna do that, run a cord out my back window, because this is my parents' home, and it's my home, and it's where my son is coming home too. And when he does, I want it to be beautiful, the way he always sees me. And on that, in the words of my day, I'm done, Joe. Hope you like, and any comments, suggestions, or posts. As someone said, we love these videos about this little dog, I forget his name, Kermie. She said, please don't criticize things too much, or it might make me cry. Or do it and I'll cry. I won't mention your name, but I'll show how I handle emotional stress, and you can tell me if you think it's inappropriate or make suggestions. And if you're struggling with MS, see a neurologist. Apply for Medicaid. Tell a family member if you experience numbness or diabetic like nerve pain. And if you have insurance and you have MS, stroke, Alzheimer's, ALS, or traumatic brain injury, and you notice inappropriate or what they call, I'm going to use a horrible term, diarrhea of the emotions, if you can't explain them, you might have PVA. It's very rare. And that's the, I am not a big proponent of pharmaceuticals, but that, pardon my language, that shit works. One day, my son, my husband, and my mother, who all of them sleep at that time, all in one day told me how they could tell the difference. And that's my goal this week, is to get back on that and be the best mom I can be, and to take us all someplace where we can thrive in this beautiful country that my dad spent his life serving, and my daddy did too. I love you. Danzo.